Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Carl and you're joining me for a special episode today, which is an unboxing, and we've been sent in an EV charger from a manufacturer, and today we're going to look at what that charger is and give a review and see what it's all about. So yeah, hold on tight, here we go. So we have got a Sevadis EV charger. So this is a Maxi Charger. So I've not seen this has just been sent in to us, and yeah, today is the first time seeing it in the flesh and just seeing what it's all about. So we're going to unbox it. It's very exciting, so all something new, and then yeah, we'll have a look at it and see what it's all about. So the first thing is a few bits on it. Obviously it comes in a nice tidy box. It states on here what type of charger it is, which is a Maxi Charger, a 7.4 kilowatt charger. So yeah, we'll see what it's all about. We'll unbox it and have a closer look. So, ooh, interesting. So, to me that looks like some sort of wall plate for mounting the charger potentially, which is quite nice. Good so far. Look at that. Ooh, so it's a white charger, which is nice, unusual. So, if we get this charger out of the box, so we've got some manufacturer's instructions there. Looks like a card there to set it up, program it. It's nice that they've actually supplied some extra fixings, what it looks to be there. Just can get it out of the box. There we go. There we go. Just like magic, it's gone. So, packaging wise, it actually is well packaged, which is good, because you get some chargers where they're just put in a flimsy box, whereas this one seems like they've actually they've thought about it. Obviously housing a nice expensive unit. Give that to the camera crew. Well, actually first impressions, to be honest. So there you have it. So Sevadis Maxi Charger. So this is an AC Maxi Charger. This is 7.4 kilowatt charger. So this is something that you'd typically find in a domestic house. So far, actually, it's quite a nice compact charger, to be honest. Obviously, there's other chargers on the market, but obviously they'll vary depending on the manufacturer. But so far, it's quite a nice looking charger. It's got a nice sleek finish on the front there. I don't know how well you can pick that up on the camera, but it's sort of got some sort of nice cutting finish there. And obviously, there we have it, Type 2 connection in the bottom there, which is nice. And then it looks like the display itself is all going to be a digital display, which is quite nice. So let's have a close look, let's see how we get into here. So underneath the charger itself, it looks like we've got obviously the rear entry points for bringing in the supply to it. And obviously on the side, we've got details about the charger itself, and what we like rear entry actually. Yeah, so looking at the rear entry, which was also good, it looks like we've got a 25 knockout, and 16, I believe. Looks, it says 16 on it. But yeah, so far I quite like it actually. It's quite a nice charger, nice and slick. So first impressions, I like it. It's nice and compact. It's a nice colour. It looks fairly straightforward to install, to be honest, just looking at this. First of all, obviously you've got a wall plate there. We've not looked at the manufacturer instructions at the moment, but from what I can gather, that looks like you probably mount that to the wall and then the charger would just slot on. So if we had that on the wall and turn the charger over, looks like we've got these fixing points, so turn that way around. And then, yeah, it looks like these points come on and they would mount into that area there. It's slide on and then you put your final fixings in at the bottom there, which in terms of installation, that's a good idea. I like it. So let's have a quick look what else comes with it then. So we've got some extra fixings here. I gather these are for, if depending on obviously what size cable, what type of cable you're bringing in. You can adapt it to fit the charger, which is good. Obviously they give you some mounting screws and stuff there, Allen keys, etc. So let's see what's in this actual packet here as well. So we've got some manufacturing instructions, and we've also got the card as well for it. So have a look at that in a moment. Let's see what this is all about. So, looking at these. So we've got installation manual. So you get installation manual with it, and we've also got a user manual. So obviously there, so we've got one for the installer there, and one for the actual user themselves. And obviously when it comes to commissioning, that kind of stuff, I gather there's some key information in there as well. So installation wise, let's have a quick look. So from what I gather, like I've mentioned, it looks like it's just a separate wall plate. These chargers as well, you're probably thinking, obviously the requirements and everything that's changed with the regs. This charger itself does have open pen protection, which is good. So obviously we TNCS supplies, we have the open pen fault detection there, which is really good. They also have the RDCDD installed as well, which is really good. So in terms of the setup itself, Sevadis have thought about it in terms of installation wise. So you can install this as per BS 7671. You can put this charger in a domestic property, and most likely be able to install it with Type A RCD protection at the origin of the circuit, and you've got that 6 milliamp protection as well, and all that couplings as such is all installed inside the charger. Sevadis obviously supply you with the parts to take it to get into the charging unit itself, which is good, to be honest. Basically, you're just going to undo these 2 points on here. So I'm just following the installation manual. Like I say, I've never seen this charger before, so for me this is just sort of getting to grips with how it's put together. So like I say, so to get into this charger, so we've taken off the two bottom screws there, and all it says in the instructions, we're just going to pull this front cover off. So fingers crossed it comes off. See how easy this is. So there's a little point there to get at the front. It's on pretty solid, to be honest. Which, to be honest, is not a bad thing. It feels quite well put together. There we go. And then that just comes off. Just bob that to one side. There we have. So, in terms of obviously protection there, even if that was to come off, which it's definitely not going to do because that took some prizing off to get it off anyway. But as you can see in there, it's still all a sealed unit. So looking at this charger itself, everything inside in terms of wiring, we must have to take this next plate off. So as you look in the instructions, so all it said is to remove that cover there at the front, and then following from that, it looks like we're going to take off this inner plate here, which we'll do that, and hopefully we'll get a bit better look of what's inside the charger. So hold on, let's see what we've got. So just like magic, we are now at the point where we're going to install the charger, and there's a few key points that we need to look at before we do this. So obviously, as we've spoken about previously, the charger itself has two screws beneath that needs to be undone and taken away just so we can get the top cover off. So once they're taken out and the top cover is removed, you'll be left with a secondary cover. All screws do need to be removed prior to installation. This is to ensure that you get good access to the connections inside, and it allows you to then terminate the cable effectively inside the charger. So as you look inside the charger, once the cover is removed, you can see all connections are open and accessible. There is a few points to note at this moment. The connections for the charger itself, as shown down at the bottom, they are highlighted line, neutral and earth. When you are wiring, it is good practice just to take away the connections inside the charger, just to make it more accessible and easier for the installer when putting the charger on the wall. Okay, so when it comes to installing the actual charger itself, It's good to know, obviously, the charging location. So prior to installation, you need to ensure that the fixing bracket provided is securely mounted to the fabric of the building. To do this, we've already installed the bracket on this board at the moment, but we have done some pre-measurements and cut the cable to the actual size needed to ensure that it gives a good, accurate fitting to the charger. So depending on the actual cable used, in this instance we are using high tough cable. You may be using SWA or anything like that, but in this case it's high tough cable, 6mm cable, and what we've actually done is strip this to the length required to ensure all connections are correct inside the charging unit itself. It's good to know, obviously, on this setup that the mounting brackets itself is obviously mounted level and it's secured by the 2 bolts provided. And as a rule of thumb, we found that the stripping of the cable wants to be just in line with the bottom lug entry point for the charger itself when fixed to the bracket, and then stripped enough so it comes through the gland and it goes into the body of the charger. So when doing this, you want to make sure that your cables are stripped roughly around 16 centimetres from the bottom of the entry point there, and that goes all the way to the copper terminations in the actual charger connections. By doing this, you're achieving a good solid connection and there's no excess cable that's going to be filling up the area where the connections are, and it ensures that this is installed and the stuffing gland can correctly terminate and compress onto the outer sheathing of the cable. Okay, so when it comes to installing the charger unit to the actual bracket, you can see on the back of the charger you have 2 lug points there which should marry up with the charging bracket that's affixed to the wall. You want to line these up and put those down so it locks into the bottom part of the lugs, and then at the very bottom there is a fixing screw that needs to go in, which you can see that's located at the bottom of the charger. So when putting this on the wall, you want to start at the very top, lining it up with the bracket. Once it's on, you literally just want to drop the charger down. And as you can see, it's nice and secure. And then to fix a charger, you need to put the fixing bolt in the bottom to prevent the charger moving like so. The manufacturer also gives you a tool to use which has got the security key on the bottom. So to do this, you put them both together and you're going to securely fix it to the bottom, ensuring that the connections are tight. Okay, so once you're ready to terminate the cable and you've stripped it to the correct lengths, what you want to do is ensure that the charger is still securely fixed to the bracket, and then you want to feed the cable itself into the stuffing gland entry point below. And what we found is that by separating the cables and getting them already stripped, ready to terminate, and put in the correct order as per the diagram in the charger, this just makes for an easier install. So what we need to do is then put the cable through into the bottom entry of the charger and bring it up to the connection point. So once the cable's stripped and put into the charger itself, you want to ensure that the cables go all the way up to the connection point, ensuring that it's correctly wired so you've got correct polarity. So line, neutral and earth as demonstrated on the wiring centering the charger. As you push the connections up, ensure all 3 connections are in place, and at this point then you want to tighten all terminations to the correct torque setting. So once the charger itself is installed and all connections have been tightened up and making sure they are to the correct torque setting, all connections underneath need to be double checked, including the stuffing gland and the security screw connection underneath, and also make sure that all data connections are also replaced within the charging unit itself. Once all connections have been replaced, you can then look, once all testing has been carried out, to replace all covers on the charging unit. So once the charger connections have been done and you're happy with the connections inside the charger, you need to replace all security screws within the faceplate of the charger. By putting all connections in place, this ensures the IP rating of the charging unit itself is not compromised and connections are covered and access to live parts has been removed. Okay, so once the charging unit has been installed itself and the security screws have all been installed and securely tightened, you want to replace the faceplate to the charging unit to give the nice sleek finish. And to do this, all you need to do is line this up with the connection points on the front of the charger and push gently to ensure all clips are in place. To finally finish off, you need to ensure that the security screws for the faceplate are all correctly installed. There is 2 at the bottom of the charge unit itself. Ensure both screws are in securely to prevent the faceplate being removed. So there you have it. That is the install done of a Sevadis Maxi Charger. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to head over to the Sevadis website and they'll answer any questions you have.